Okay, so let's start our power yoga by sitting on our knees, and we're going to move into a child's pose just to stretch out the back. So let's open and spread the legs, and then we're going to lower the buttocks down onto the heels, and we're just going to stretch forward with the hands. And just start to feel that nice stretch running down all the way through the spine. Start to connect to the breath. So inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the nose. Inhale through the nose, exhale through the nose. And just do one to soften the whole body. So we're going to inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. So let's inhale and exhale. And just feel everything soften and full. Really visualize those buttocks lowering towards the heels, even if they're not touching. Everyone's flexibility is different. And just really pull and stretch those hands out a little bit further. Now let's walk the hands to the left side of the body so we feel a nice stretch, opening up the intercostal muscles on the right hand side of the body. Using the breath and the exhale to deepen yourself further every time into it. And then slowly walking your hands to the right side. So we're now feeling that opening on the left lateral side of the body. Opening up all the small muscles in the rib area. Remembering to breathe. And then slowly walking the hands back to the center. On your next inhale, let's rise up and we're going to move into a tabletop position. So just correct your posture here, making sure your hands are shoulder width apart, your knees are shoulder width apart, your hip width apart. Just wiggle your hips a little bit, warm them up. And there's three options here. So the first option is we're going to kick out that right foot, keep the heel nice and flexed. And you might just want to stay here, but we just want to concentrate on holding in the pelvic floor, holding in the tummy muscles, clenching the buttocks. Option two is to lift out the left hand. So we're in that human tug of war, imagining someone is holding on to our hands and our foot and pulling us strong and straight. A few more breaths here. And for anyone who wants to take option three, we bend that knee. We reach behind and we find the foot. And we lift the head and with the chest. And we create a bow shape with the body. And lowering down. Doing it on the other side. Let's kick out the left foot. Pushing the heel out. Remembering to hold that tummy in. Hold the pelvic floor. Option two, if you want to put the hand out, so we're in that human tug of war, being tugged from the fingers all the way through the heel. A few more breaths here. And then option three, we bend the knee, we reach over, we find the foot, and we lift the head and chest, creating that bow shape. Really using the stomach muscles here to keep you balanced. And lower down. So let's just warm up the wrists. So turning the hands inside so your fingers are facing your legs, and just do a few nice circles. We're on our hands a lot in yoga. That downward dogs, bit of handstand preparation, our planks. We really want to keep lots of synovial fluid moving around these areas. Keeping them nice and juicy. And then when you've moved and circled, just turn them back the other way. Just do a few figure of eights with the body. Again, just warming it up, moving it up, getting everything fluid and soft. Ready for some nice, strong, fluid movement. And then come back to neutral spine in your tabletop position. So let's untuck those toes. And we're just going to lift the knees and hold the tummy in. working on those core muscles, working on the strength in the arm, really gripping down with those fingers, creating suction pads with the hands. And lowering down, we do that one more time. So untucking the toes, lifting the knees, holding in the tummy, strengthen the arms. And one more breath. Lowering down, wiggling out. And I'll push ourselves, we untuck our toes and push ourselves into our first downward facing dog. So the rules of downward facing dog is that we really push those palms into the floor like suction pads. We lower the heels down as much as we can, but they don't have to be touching. And we imagine that we're being pulled up by a string on our hips, that we're being lifted into the sky. We gaze through the arms, through the feet, up at the navel, so that head and neck is aligned with the rest of the spine. Keeping the legs as straight as possible, but if you need a bend, that's totally fine. And holding in the tummy. You might just want to tip those elbows out a little bit, so we're creating a nice gap between the ears and the arms. And then just start paddling the feet. So strengthening, stretching into those hamstrings. And once you've had a little play, just start walking those feet towards the hands and just hang like a rag doll for a few moments, letting the spine relax. We're still in the warm-up stage, so if the knees need to be bent, bend the knees slightly so we can really get into the hamstrings. And then slowly, vertebrae by vertebrae, let's roll up. And as we roll up, we're going to bring the hands up to the sky, moving into our sun salutations. We inhale and we swan dive forwards, folding forwards, straight legs if possible, into our forward fold, hands on the floor on the shins. Then we lift up, inhale, we touch the shins, we create a flat back, we exhale down, we inhale, we step the right leg back into that lunge position, follow it with the left and hold your plank for 2 breaths. 2 options here. You lower your knees, your chin and the chest, and you pull forward, or your second option is to lower down into that press up, pulling forward and then hinging on the feet and lifting the chest. So you choose what option is best for you, and then from here we push into our downward facing dog. Stay here for 2 breaths. Inhale, step the right leg forward back into that lunge. Follow through with the left into that forward fold and lift the arms back up, strengthen the arms, hands up to the ceiling, bringing the palms together, and we swan dive back down into that forward fold. Inhale, halfway, touching the shins, flat back here. Exhale, lower down back into that forward fold. Inhale, this time the left leg steps back into that lunge, follow back with the right. So taking your option here, knees, chin, chest, or we lower down into that press up position and we scoop forward, hinging ourselves on our feet, lifting the chest and stretching the arms. Then we push back into our downward facing dog, just correcting our posture. We're here for 2 breaths, keeping the heels down, pressing the palms into the floor and gazing through the legs. Inhale, step the left leg forward, follow it with the right, and lifting up, palms together, bringing back down to heart center. Just checking in with the body, hands by the sides into your mountain pose, closing the eyes for a few seconds. Just noticing your heart may be beating. We've really warmed up the body now. Feeling the chest rise. The belly fill up with air. Breathing in that fresh new oxygen, really getting everything going in the body. So from here, we're going to scoop down, we're going to create a chair pose. So lowering the buttocks down, tipping in that pelvis, holding up the hands and the arms right by the ears, lowering down a little bit further. And we want to have the weight in the heels here, so you might just want to like twinkle your toes so you know you've got the weight in the right place. And then we swing down back into that forward fold. Lift up halfway, flat back. Relaxing down, forward fold. Inhale, step the right leg back. Step the left leg back. We're back in that plank. Move through your option. Lifting up. Pushing back into your downward facing dog. So we step the right leg forward, so we're in a warrior one position. From here, you lift up. Your foot is at 45 degrees. Your left foot and your right foot is bent. You lift your hands up, making sure your hips are facing the front. Strengthen the arms, and then just lean into that front leg just a little bit further, making sure the hips aren't sliding to the side. We want to keep weight in both feet here, so it's nice and equal and balanced. And then inhale, we move to warrior two. We just change the position of the foot, so it's now at 90 degrees. This leg here stays to the side, and we just push out that hip a little bit more so it's not creeping in. So arms strong like a warrior, gazing over the fingers, holding in the core, tucking in the buttocks, and lower yourselves a little bit more. From here, we inhale, and we lean forward. We bring our arms back into reverse warrior. So we let the left hand lie against the left leg. We look up at the palm. We gaze up with strength. And we feel that nice stretch again down the lateral side of the body. Lean into that front leg. And remember to breathe. And then come up, straightening the legs. And we're going to bind the hands behind the back. And as we do, we push out the chest. And we move into our humble warrior. So let's open and ripple that chest down. And the aim is to get that right shoulder to touch the right knee. Lifting up the hands behind. Enjoying the stretch here. It's a strong stretch. Using the breath to lock the stomach muscles in, to keep you strong. On the inhale, we lock the stomach muscles in, and we come up with momentum, and we open out into triangle. So both legs are straight, arms are straight. And then we tip the left hip back. We lean forward with the arms, and then we tip into Trikonasana. So our triangle, our tip triangle position. And our right hand is by the right leg, so it can be touching either the ankle or maybe the calf, and we're gazing up to the ceiling, gazing up with strength in that arm. We're imagining that we're pressed up against a wall, so everything is in line here with the body. Stay here for one more breath. And then we move the hands back down, and we move back into that lunge position. We step the right leg back so we're in that plank. We get our right hand, we put it into the center of the mat, and we move into our plank, side plank. So we lift up, lifting the hips high. Option, if you need to take it easier, you lower your right knee to the floor, and you continue with the momentum in your hips to lift you high. And if you're up on both feet, you aim on getting that right foot flat on the floor. And then if you want to take a third option and lift up that leg, holding in the core, keeping the hips high, and then lower everything down. Come back to your plank, adjust your hands, and move through your vinyasa, so your chaturanga. Move forward, lifting the shoulders back, chest up nice and high, and push into your downward facing dog. Stay here for a few breaths as recovery. And we're going to lift up the right leg, nice and strong to the ceiling. And then we're going to curl the leg, and we're going to bring it towards the nose. We're going to puff up the shoulders and lift that knee as high as possible, and then we're going to bring it back. This time to the left elbow. So we touch the left elbow with the knee, bring it back, and then to the right elbow. Bring it back. Let's do that one more time. So to the nose, puff up the shoulders, lift up the knee. Bring it back. to the left elbow. Bring it back and to the right. Bring it back. And if you want to take a three-legged press up here, we can simply tip the body forward and we lower down, bringing the leg down as we scoop up. If you don't want to do that, you just bring both legs down. And then we move into downward dog for a bit of recovery. From here, we're just gonna walk the feet towards the hands. Again, just rocking that ragdoll. Just recovering. Let's rise up. Bringing the hands together. Bringing them through the heart center and back into that mountain pose. So just feeling where your heart is now. Feeling it beating even a little faster. Feeling how strong you feel within the body. Maybe one side now feels a little bit more stretched out, a little bit more alive. So let's do it on the other side. So we scoop into that chair, keeping the bottom down, tucking in the pelvis, tucking in the tummy, sucking it in, lifting the arms high up by the ears, lowering down a little bit more. Remembering to breathe. And relax, fold forward into that forward fold. Halfway lift, flat back. Back into that forward fold as we inhale and we lift. The left leg back this time, following it with the right, and we move through that press up into our upward facing dog, into our downward facing dog. So inhale, let's step the left leg forward this time. We move that back foot into 45 degrees and we lift up with strength into that warrior one. So just checking the posture again, that the hips are to the front, the arms are up nice and high, and we have equal weight in the feet here. So we're not down, we're not losing and dropping everything down into this foot. We have a nice, strong, equal weight. Then we lower down into that foot a little bit further, lifting the hands up. Inhale and switch to your warrior two. We just make a small movement with the foot here. Everything else stays the same. And gaze over the front hand. Holding the tummy in, pushing the hips forward, so we're not letting them drop back. And then lean forward, flip the palm, and we reverse our warrior. So the right hand this time is against the right leg, and we're gazing up at the hand. So we have a nice stretch again, down the ribs, down the side body. Opening up all those little muscles. Inhale, straighten the legs a little bit, and we interlace those fingers behind the back. And as we do so, we push the chest forward, and then we ripple down. And the aim is to get that left shoulder to touch the left knee. So here, keeping the tummy tucked in, using the core muscles. So as we inhale, we hold on, almost holding our breath, holding those core muscles in. Inhale with momentum, we come up and we straighten both legs and both arms, so we're in that triangle position. We pop the right hip back, we lean forward, and then we move the arms. They may be up here by the calf or down here, depending on your own flexibility. And then just push the hips forward slightly, so we're in that nice straight flat line. Close your eyes if you need to. Remembering to connect the mind and body. Remembering to breathe. And then bringing the arms back down into that lunge. Bringing the left foot back and lowering through our chaturanga. Lifting up, lifting the chest up. Moving into that downward facing dog. Lowering into that plank. We're going to move into side plank. So this time we get the left hand and we put the left hand in the center of the mat and we bring the body up. So again, the option here is you may have your knee down, but we keep pulling the hip up. The hand is strong, lifting to the ceiling. Gaze up at the ceiling. And then you may want to lift your left leg, your right leg up into the ceiling. And lower down. Bring yourself back to plank. And push yourself into downward facing dog. Staying here for a few breaths. We lift up the left leg. Let's do the curls again. So bringing that knee towards the nose, tucking everything up, sucking up the shoulders. Bring it back. Bringing the knee to the left elbow. Bringing it back to the right elbow. Bringing it back. One more time to the nose. Puff up the shoulders. Bringing it back to the left elbow. Bringing it back to the right. Bring it back. And lower the foot down. We're just going to walk those feet towards the hands and just hang like a ragdoll for a moment. Coming back up, vertebrae by vertebrae, bringing those hands up to the ceiling, hands into heart center, riding through heart center down to the side, closing your eyes and just connecting with the body. So a little bit of balancing, a little bit of handstand preparation for you. So we're going to bring the knee up and the palms together. We're going to make sure we've got strength in this left leg. That's lifting us up. So we're really lifting up from the hips, keeping this leg bent, hands to heart center. And then we're going to start tipping forward. And as we tip forward, we're going to bring that leg back into our warrior three. So you may choose to point your foot or keep it flexed. Using the four corners of the feet here. So imagine you've got a rectangular sticker on your foot, and those four corners are grounding you and keeping you down. And once you've got your balance, you can let your arms move to the back. Finding a gaze, keeping your balance. And then we swan dive down, so moving down through the chest, lowering the hands into a standing splits. If you want, you can get your left hand, hold it onto the left foot, and just use the strength in your leg and your hands to kick your leg up just a little bit higher. Remembering to breathe. And then keeping the leg up, we're going to do some handstand preparation. So place those hands just in front of you, shoulder width apart. We're then going to shift the weight so it's more into the hands, just a little bit over the wrists. We bend the leg and then we drop this one down, the right leg down. And then with momentum, we start kicking into a soft, fluid handstand. On the third one, we're going to switch feet. So just play around with it here. So we'll do that again. So we're learning to get off the floor from being on the floor, rather throwing the body down. So we tip the body just so it's over the wrists. We bend that left leg and we keep the right leg straight behind us. And then with fluidity, we come up and we just try a few kicks. And then we switch the legs over. And then bring the feet together. Walk them towards the hands and then just roll up. Bring the hands up. You know the flow, the hands together to the heart center, and we stay here ready for the next leg. So ground through that right leg now. We lift up through the left. Keeping that balance, finding your focal point, and then we start tipping forward. Kicking that left leg out, either pointing or flexing the foot, keeping your focus, and then when you have your balance, you let your hands glide to the side of the body and behind you. And then we swan dive down, leading with the chest. Hands down to the floor, into that standing splits. Having your right hand behind your right ankle to help you kick up further. And And then let's move into that handstand preparation. So hands out in front of you, shoulder width apart. We lower the left leg down and we bend into that right leg. From here, we simply lift the body up. And you'll notice one leg will be different to the other. And then on the third one, whoop, we swap legs. So let's play around with that one more time. So right leg is bent, left leg is behind us, nice and straight. Our hands are shoulder width apart, and we tip the body forward just a little. And then we start with momentum, lifting the leg up, trying to bring the right leg with it, and then switching. And then once you've done your switch, walk those feet towards the hands. Take a small ragdoll bend if you wish, and then coming up. Let's move to the floor. So hands together. We just bend the body down, and we simply get our hands and we walk back using the hands into a nice tabletop position. Let the head fall back, lifting the hips high, lifting the hips high and lowering down. So from here, your boat has a few options. You can hold your legs, or you can let go and you can straighten them. And we're just going to do a few high boats to low boats. So low boat to a high boat. Low boat to a high boat. Low boat, high. Two more of these. Low, high, low, high. And then let's relax it down. Taking a few breaths here. So just making sure now that you're laying flat on the floor. You're starting to let the body relax. Take a small Shavasana. So lay completely flat down. Open up the legs so they're mat width apart, and just close your eyes. Reconnect to the breath. Your heart rate is starting to slow down. Feeling your belly rise, your belly fall. Letting any thoughts move away, pushing them away. And then slowly bring some movement back into the body. So wiggling the fingers, wiggling the toes. And then using the core muscles, we're going to come up. So let's put the hands in front of us. And then slowly, we rise up, using the core. And then we fall back down, using the core. Do that 2 more times. Rise up. Coming up to a nice flat back. And then rolling through the spine down again. One more time. So bending the knees, we just touch the heels. So we're moving into some bridges now. And we place the hands so that they're by the heels. So we're going to do a few options here. The first one is a simple bridge. So on the inhale, we're going to lift up those hips, lift them nice and high, and we tuck our shoulders underneath the body, interlacing the hands to almost push into the floor, to push our hips higher. Again, imagining that sticker on your foot and your feet are really grounding down into the floor, which are helping push you up even higher, using the breath, using the exhale to get yourself a little bit further each time. And then slowly lowering the body down. So we're going to do that again, but this time with the option of bringing the left leg up. So let's prepare ourselves. Let's ground those hands into the floor to start with, making sure our heels are in the correct position. Inhale and lift up the hips. Interlace the fingers behind, underneath us. And then ground that right foot.
right into the floor. And as we ground that foot into the floor, we lift up and straighten the left leg. From here, we lower that leg to knee level. We bring it up. We lower it to the knee level. We bring it up. One more time, lowering it to the knee level, making sure your hips are nice and high. Bring it up, and then bring it back to its original position. Give yourself one more push, and then we'll lower the body down. Let's just swing the legs side to side. Relieve any pressure in the body we've built up. Bringing the knees back to center. Let's do it on the other side. So just checking the positioning again. Your feet, your heels, your hands are all in the right place. So you're just touch your heels. We're there. Okay, so hold in that tummy. Take a nice inhale. Exhale. Inhale and lift, roll up the body. Interlace those fingers. Tuck the shoulders underneath. Remembering to breathe, we ground now the left foot into the floor, keeping the hips high. We lift up that right leg, pointing the toe, keeping it strong. We lower it down to knee level. We bring it back up. We lower it to knee level. Bring it back up. Lower it to knee level. Bring it back up, making sure the hips are nice and high. Lowering it down, giving yourself one more push. Relax the body down. Swing the legs from side to side. You're having some nice inhales and exhales in your recovery mode. Now you may choose to take the bridge one more time, or for those of you who can do full wheel, I want you to experiment with it. So we're going to place the hands by the head. Again, we're going to make sure these feet are really grounded into the floor. We inhale and we come onto the top of our head. And we exhale and we come all the way up. Now here's where I want you to have a play. I want you to start walking the feet in towards your back. And then just start walking the body down the mat. And then back again. It's pretty hard. And then maybe you do some press-ups. So we lower the elbows and the head to the floor. And we do a few press-ups. I want you to play in any which way is fun and whatever which way your body is craving. And then of course when you're ready, you lower the body down and we just swing the legs from side to side. Really pushing the flexibility, pushing power into our practice today. For those of you who want to take that one more time, we put the hands by the head. We inhale, we lift up onto the crown. We exhale, we lift a little bit further. We may just want to do a few press-ups this time. And then just really push up, straightening through the arms. Maybe go onto the tiptoes, lifting up, nice and high before we lower. And we relax the body down. Moving the legs from side to side. Letting the body relax. Let's just lift the legs up now. Small counter pose where we stretched out the back. Just bring the legs up. Let the blood rush down to the hips. An incredible restorative posture. For those of you who do want to go a little bit further, we can move into a shoulder stand. So by this, we just tip back a few times, a few rolls, and then we tuck our hands and we walk them up the small of our back, right up towards our shoulder blades, keeping your head and your neck in a nice, neutral, strong position, tucking your neck, your chin into your neck, pointing the toes. So you're using strength all the way through your toes, your calves, your knees, you're locking your knees, you're locking your thighs, holding the tummy muscles in, clenching the buttocks. And then slowly we move into plow. So we lower those feet behind our head. And then we interlace the fingers if we can, or we keep them on the small of our back. And we just lower those hands down, helping us push into that position further. And this is really helping the thyroid gland here, really detoxing the body, getting the metabolism going. Using the breath here. Closing the eyes. And slowly, holding the back, and with ease, we very softly roll out of the position. Let's take a happy baby. So we put our legs in the air, hold on to the sides of the feet, and we just swing round. And we want to get the whole of the back on the floor. So the whole of the spine, from the sacrum, just above your bottom, the lumbar, the bottom of your spine, thoracic, middle of your spine, and the cervical, the top and the neck, all in a nice flat line. Just staying here, swinging for a moment as we start to slow down. Lowering the feet when you can. And then just coming up to a nice seated position. And just sit in a frog or butterfly, or Baddha Konasana we call it. And just move your legs, bouncing away, getting into the stretch. As we slowly wind down the last few minutes of class before we get into our Shavasana, the best part of yoga. So we're just going to open up our feet like a book, and you'll notice that your hips open up a little bit more and your legs will fall down further. For those of you who now want to forward fold, you're just going to stretch forward, and you might want to use your elbows to push your legs down a little bit further. Again, using the breath, every exhale, lowering the legs down. Understanding the difference in pain and sensation. Pain is not a good thing. The sensation of your muscles being pulled in a good way, that kind of nice stretch, that's where we want to be. Stretching is so important for your performance, to look after, nourish the muscles. So let's inhale, we'll come up, and we're simply going to put our legs in front of us, lifting up with a nice straight spine. Just sit here for a moment, feeling a nice, strong posture. And then we're going to start to lean forward, but with a flat back. So we're not rolling, we're lifting up from the hips, and we just lean forward. If you can touch your toes, you might want to use the bind. So just use your index finger and middle finger to hold onto the toes, just to pull you down by bending the elbows a little bit further. We're not curling, we're not relaxing. We're strengthening the hips here, we're strengthening the muscles. Getting into the lower back region. And slowly, if you want to, you can then curl the body. And just have a nice hamstring stretch now. Holding onto the feet, the shins, wherever they are. Again, if the knees need to be bent, bend the knees, because you will still get a hamstring stretch with knees bent. Listen to your body. Do what your body needs, what your body is craving. And then slowly coming up. We bring the right leg in. We turn the body to the side, and we do a nice side stretch into the leg, which opens up the groin as well. Slowly coming up and swapping sides. Just turning to the side, lift the arms up and fall over the leg. Inhale again, slowly rising. And we leave the left foot where it is, and we're going to get the right foot and just cross it over. We're going to get the right hand and we place that behind us. And with the left elbow, we're going to push away that right leg and then look behind us for a final twist. And just reverse the other way as a counter pose. And then we're simply going to swap legs. We'll just open them out, stitch them over. So this time, getting the left hand, placing that behind us, and then with the right hand and the elbow, we push that left leg away and we look behind us. Nice straight spine. And just reverse the twist to counter pose. And then slowly and softly, you can lie down into your Shavasana. So feet mat width apart, hands open. So you're receiving all the energy, feeling all the power running through your body now, feeling strong and stretched. And just reconnecting to the breath, which has pushed you and helped you to get through the class. Feeling the belly rise and the belly fall. Allowing the fingers to curl. Take a swallow in the mouth to relax the jaw, relax the tongue. Letting the eyes soften. And just understanding the body. Understanding and respecting the body. Listening to the body. Knowing what you can achieve and knowing that your body is different every single day. Some days you will have more fire in your practice, and some days you crave more lethargy and you want to relax and take a slow pace. Whatever your body is craving, let it be. But also know when it's being lazy and when you can challenge it. So slowly moving your fingers and your toes, bringing movement back into the body. Lift your hands above your head and take a nice final stretch, stretching out the right side, stretching out the left side. And then let's roll to the right side of the body. Let's slowly lift the body up, keeping your eyes closed, staying in a nice seated position. Place your palms facing upwards. The back of your hands are resting on your knees. Take one inhale through the nose. We're going to exhale through the mouth. Feel the body soften. Bring your hands together. And thank yourself for giving yourself these 45 minutes of practice. Namaste.